Welcome to What's Your Story? I'm your host, Sherita Williams, and today my guest is an author. He's a motivational speaker. He is a retired veteran from the Marines. He's a blogger. He's an entrepreneur. He has done it all. Alan Simmons is my guest. Please help me welcome Alan to the show.
Thank you.
Alan?
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm great. So, Alan, tell my viewers a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Alan Levi Simmons, and I'm from Summerville, South Carolina, a town near Charleston, South Carolina. I joined the Marine Corps in 2007, got out 2011 after serving 2 tours overseas. And here I am, like you said, I'm an author, motivational speaker, engineer, nonprofit owner, and much more.
I see you have done it all. So, Alan, tell our viewers a little bit about your time overseas.
Well, my first deployment in the Marine Corps was in Iraq, and I went to Baghdad, and I was a young guy at that point in time. I was in my early 20s, and it was the first time being at war. And then the second time I went to war was in Afghanistan, and that's where I guess the pedal met the surface, and I kind of saw firsthand what being shot at was like, standing next to an explosive device and being in a bomb explosion, a rocket explosion. All of that happened to me in Afghanistan. I was shot at by the Taliban. They shot rockets at us, and I survived. Thank God I survived. And it has made me the man that I am today after my battle with PTSD and after the battle with facing war. I was able to come back to the United States and figure out who I was. So it was a tough fight, and while in Afghanistan, I discovered a bomb, and that bomb was standing right next to my foot, and luckily, thank God, that bomb did not explode. So I stand here today, thankful to be alive and thankful to have this opportunity.
Well, I'm thankful as well. I can't even imagine the impact that has had on your life. So after all this traumatic experience, what was it like coming back into the States?
Mm. That's a good question, because it was something that I couldn't be trained for. I battled with anxiety. I battled with depression, suicidal thoughts. I had a gun to my mouth in Virginia, because I got tired of looking under my bed, looking behind my shower curtains, always feeling like someone was going to break into my home, and I still felt like I was at war. And, I had this one miraculous night when God spoke to me when I had the gun in my mouth, and I sat there thinking, who's going to stop me? No one's able to stop me. No one else lived with me at the time. My family was back in Charleston, and God spoke to me while that gun was in my mouth, and he spoke to me and he said, "Who are you to take your own life when I brought you from the land of your enemy?" And Miss Williams, I literally laid on that floor and I started crying. I was weeping. I cried, and I woke up the next morning and took that gun to the pawn shop, and I went through battling my PTSD with God. And that is why I stand here today, able to share my testimony because of God.
And if anybody can bring you through it, is God. So tell us, how did you use poetry to overcome your PTSD?
Yes.
Or to help you get through PTSD?
Yeah. So poetry became, the spoken word is so powerful. In the beginning was the word, and the word was God, and the word was with God. So I started understanding that I could not simply express myself to the doctor or the psychologist when they would say, "What's wrong with you?" I didn't know how to formulate it, but it was something about writing down stories. And even if I took myself from that story and I started writing about another person that was battling with being a motherless child, their mother walking out on them like my mom did, and or being someone who battled with their identity like I did, poetry helped me bring my problems to life. It made it real, and it made it something that I could dive deep inside of my soul and say, "Wow, that's me. That's what I feel." So poetry brought more life to me.
So I understand you've written a book. So tell us the name of your book.
It's called "Can I Speak?" Can I Speak book. It's available on Amazon, canispeakbook.com. I wrote this book, and the reason why I wrote this book was because I felt like a lot of people are battling something, and they're afraid of telling the world about what they're battling. They're afraid of talking about their suicidal attempts. They're afraid of talking about being a motherless or fatherless girl, or being raped, or being in prison. Like, there's a lot of things that people are afraid of talking about. So Can I Speak is more of a question to you. And if you allow me to speak, I'm able to share with you what I go through, and hopefully it brings light to you. So Can I Speak? It saved a lot of people. A friend of mine, his marriage, his ex-wife, they had a battle, and he read my book and read a part where the young lady was getting yelled at by her father, and he felt convicted. And he was like, man, your book made me realize that I didn't do things right as a father. So, a lot of people read this Can I Speak book, and you'll read a variety of stories that align with my life and align with other people's lives, and it may inspire you and change your life as well. So,
I think that's beautiful. So tell our viewers how they can get this bestseller.
So you can order Can I Speak book on Amazon at www.canispeakbook.com, and it will take you right there to this book. And I hope it changes your life and the lives of other people around you.
So tell us about an experience that you had, especially with dealing with PTSD, that had you at one of your lowest points, but yet you were able to overcome it.
Yeah. So I was at work one day in Virginia. I was going to school at Old Dominion University, and it was before I dropped out of college for like the fifth time. And I was working at the parking service center, and one day I just had this breakdown. I did not know, out of nowhere, this lightning of emotions and feelings and darkness started overshadowing me, and I just broke down at work. And my boss, she called the VA, the Veterans Hospital. She's like, hey, I have a veteran here. He's suffering from PTSD. I'm sending him to you, and this ride was about 35 minutes to get to the VA. And while I'm driving, I started having thoughts of crashing my car. I started having thoughts of crashing my car into another car, into a rail, into a pole. All of these thoughts came flashing through my mind. And I was like, I cannot make it to the VA. I cannot drive there. So I drive home, and I pour up, I had to be very transparent. I pulled up a big bottle of Jack Daniel, and I just started drinking it. I'm smoking my cigarette, I'm drinking. I'm just like, I'm suffering on the inside. And I call a buddy of mine who was also a Marine veteran that I served with, who lived in Virginia. I said, hey man, I am not going to be able to make it to the VA. I don't know what's wrong with me. Can you come get me? After talking to him, he was at work. He had to leave work and drive me to the Veterans Hospital. And when I got there, I was able to see a psychologist, and the lady looked at me. She says, how can I help you? And immediately when she said, how can I help you? I just broke down, because I did not have the answers to how she could help me. And after sitting there for a few minutes, they tell me, we could either lock you in this room and take away your cell phone. We could take away your shoestrings and lock you in this room until a certain amount of time, or you could go home and take this medication. And I went home and took that medication because I didn't want to be locked into some loony room. And the medication started numbing me. And it leads into when I was talking about the suicide attempt, when, so that suicide attempt was my lowest, because that was the time when I realized for the first time in my life, after going to church many years, that God is really real and that he speaks when we're at our lowest points. So yes, that was a very miraculous experience that just took me to this next level of my life.
That is amazing how God can step in. There's over 4.3 million people that suffer from depression, anxiety, or PTSD. And if someone's out there who is suffering from PTSD, depression, suicide, please call the national hotline number. That's 1-800-662-4357. That's 1-800-662-HELP. That'll be listed on our website, and we'll be right back after this message. We're going to take a short break, And we'll be back to hear the rest of Alan's amazing story. And if you would like to be a guest on our show, please contact me, Sherita Williams 154 at gmail.com, or you can go to our website, WYTV7.org. We'll be back in just a minute.
Swing Into Their Dreams Foundation presents the Golf Tournament of the Year, raising scholarships for aspiring National Golf Club in Milton, Georgia. The inaugural HBCU Swing Into Their Dreams Charity Golf Tournament. Registration and gourmet continental breakfast begins at 8 a.m. and shotgun at 10 a.m. Award reception follows. Come enjoy a day of jazz, mimosa, cigars, cash bar, silent auction, and more. For more information, contact 770-686-7148. Their dreams. Don't miss it.
We're back with What's Your Story? Today's my guest is Alan Simmons. I would like to thank our sponsor, Swing Into the Dream. Alan is an author. He's an entrepreneur. He is a veteran from the Marines. Alan has done it all. So in our last cap, Alan was telling us about how he overcame PTSD with his poetry. So on this half, we're going to talk about more of his podcast. Alan, can you tell us about your podcast?
Yeah, so I started the Purpose Pod in March of 2019. March 2020, actually. Man, the years are colliding together. But I started it right when, I was the stay-at-home orders, and I was like, man, what can I do to reach people from my home? So I started the Purpose Pod, and I interviewed 30 people in 30 days. I had actress Maya Stoyan. She played with Nia Long and Omar Epps in a Netflix original. And also I interviewed NFL players. I interviewed motivational speakers, authors, and doctors and lawyers. I had a plethora of people. I ended up interviewing roughly 100 people at the end of last year, by the end of last year on the Purpose Pod. And through the Purpose Pod, my goal has been to show people that there are many purposes in our life, that you don't just have to be a motivational speaker, that you can do many things within your life. So the Purpose Pod has been doing that. And we have audiences from the age of 16 to 65. So it's been a blessing.
So if we want to be a guest on your show or to watch Purpose Pod, how can we watch it? So
we can watch it on YouTube, the Purpose Pod Live, or if you want to be on the Purpose Pod, you can email me at info@thepurposepodlive.com. And you can reach out to me there, or you can follow the Purpose Pod on Instagram and reach out to me there. And I'm more than open to share people's stories and their purposes with the world.
I think that's great. So Alan, I want to just recap earlier. You were talking about, you said, I started school, I dropped out. So I understand that you've graduated from college.
Yes.
So congratulations. Thank you. Tell us, where did you graduate from?
I graduated from the University of North Carolina at Charlotte in electrical engineering technology.
Congratulations. So now let's talk about you being a motivational speaker. How did that take place?
Well, having this story inside of me, I got tired of asking people if I could come speak on their platform or speak at their show. So I just started my own, Alan Levi Simmons, Alan Levi Speaks. And I started the brunch events through that, actually. And that's how I became this motivational speaker. I had hosted brunches and invited people from diverse backgrounds, Muslims, Christians, atheists, Black, white, Hindu, anybody you could think of was at my brunches. And the purpose of my brunches was to bring people together who were like-minded, who wanted to be purpose-driven and to seek purpose together. So through that, I was able to inspire people to find their purpose without limits. So I get so excited and amped about that. So
I understand. So tell us your mission, because your mission lines up with our mission. So let's hear about your mission.
Yeah. So like my first point is to inspire, right? So everyone needs inspiration. When we're at our lowest points, it is inspiration that is like a light in the dark place. So inspiration is that light I try to give to people, and it's through our testimony. I'm sure you have a testimony and other people have a testimony. So make sure, people, that you are inspiring people through your testimony. Don't hide it because you're afraid of what it will cause people to think of you. Share your testimony and inspire people. And then the next thing I like to do is encourage people. I like to encourage people because we all need that pat on the back, like, hey, keep going, keep moving. My motto is never stop, never quit, repeat. You have to continuously do that thing over and over and over again. And then you have to educate yourself. You have to educate yourself about what you're wrestling with. You have to educate yourself about what you could face in the future. You have to educate yourself about what you faced in the past. And if you do that, you will be better off for the future and for those around you.
Absolutely. Because at WYTV7, our mission statement is to educate, empower, and encourage. So your mission statement aligns with what we do at WYTV7. So tell us a little bit more about Brunch with Ties and Heels.
Yeah, so my brunch events, I would like to highlight one of our topics that we had. So I picked different topics, and of course, one of my topics was purpose, right? I get people to come together. It's called Brunch with Ties because I told my wife, men need something that they can dress up, get together at a brunch day. You know, women, they get together with their sun hats, they look all cute and stuff. I was like, men need to get together and have, you know, ties, t-shirt, whatever you want to wear with the tie. And then I incorporated the women coming in with, you know, heels and stuff. So it's still business professional, but you're still vulnerable. You know, you're not just at church, you're out at brunch having a real life discussion. And at these brunch events, we talked about purpose, and I used a screwdriver. And I said, well, if this screwdriver, and this is not a screwdriver, but if this screwdriver was invented to screw and unscrew, what are the other purposes that a screwdriver can do? And at our brunch, we talked about how a screwdriver, you can defend yourself. You could prop something open. You could open a can. You could do many things with the screwdriver. And I said, well, if a screwdriver was only invented to screw and unscrew, but you have found more than 100 ways to use a screwdriver, what does that say about you? So that's my goal at my brunch events, is to get people to alter their thinking, to see inside of themselves the value that God put inside of them, and then to go out there and to do it.
So how can you schedule one of these events, or do you just do those events around the country?
Yeah, so right now I'm in Charlotte and South Carolina, Charleston, Somerville, and since I'm here in Durham, I plan on starting it here, but due to COVID, I've kind of slowed things down. We had one virtual brunch event. It was really good, but since I made this new transition into my job, I plan on starting it late this year, and hopefully I can bring people onto that. If you want to know more about that, you can go to AlanLeviSimmons.com and just ask for information on that website.
That's great. So let's talk about your nonprofit. What is the name of your nonprofit?
Well, my nonprofit is called Live in Love Incorporated. That's Live with the letter N, Love Incorporated.
Okay, so who does that target, and tell us what it's about?
So my nonprofit initially targeted at-risk youth, and it was from 13 to 17. And then I started seeing that it wasn't just youth that needed live in love, it was communities, parents, educators, homeless men and women. So I broadened that as a one-man band, and I started inviting my friends to go feed the homeless. I started visiting mental health clinics where children were living. It was called the Strategic Behavioral Health Center. And I went there and I met children who were raped, molested, seeing parents overdose on drugs, seeing their brother and sister shot and killed. So I went there because of my trauma, and I was able to relate to these children in their trauma. And it was so beautiful to see these kids open up, kids that were just a few minutes ago, they were ready to fight each other. They were ready to beat each other down. Now they're sitting together, sharing their vulnerable places, their vulnerable spots. And they see that, wow, they have hurt and pain too. So live in love is a matter of living on purpose and loving on purpose. So yeah, it's been a big thing. I started in 2015, and I've spoken at my old middle school. My teachers have invited me back I spoke at a middle school back in South Carolina, spoke to some young men who were having trouble with their education. I taught them the importance of brotherhood and love. And I also spoke to some teachers and taught them the purpose about going beyond the mask and reaching their students. So yes.
How can we donate to Live and Love?
You can go to Live in the letter N, Love Inc. inc.com, and there's a donate button on there. Live and Love is also on Cash App and Venmo, but I prefer liveandloveinc.com, making donations there, and it's much appreciated.
All right. So Alan, we understand so I don't know how many years it's been since you started struggling with PTSD to now you have become an overcomer. But through overcoming, through networking, with writing a book, with your motivational speaking, with coaching. So tell us more about your coaching aspect.
Okay. So my coaching aspect is non-traditional. I am a non-traditional kind of guy. I believe that reaching people where they are, reaching the drug addicts where they are, reaching those who are molested where they are. So my coaching, I may end up at a bar, I may end up at a church, I may end up on a street corner, and I just go out there one-on-one, and I start looking for the pain points, right? Like what happened when you were a child, because there were things before PTSD that happened as a kid for me. So I understand that people have childhood trauma. And so I sit one-on-one with people. I do phone calls, I do WebExes, I do Zooms, and people, we just sit for 30 minutes and I talk about what they go through. And then I have a word of knowledge, and I flow in the prophetic. And so God has given me that gift to see inside of people, to see things that God has placed inside of them. So whenever God speaks to me, I speak to the people on that point, and we have a revival in a sense at that very moment in time. So I do one-on-one coaching via Zoom and phone call as well.
So do you coach other military guys that are suffering with PTSD?
Yes, I was a part of this program called Reboot Combat Recovery, and we assist veterans and their family members with the trauma, and there's a lot of veterans out there who are suffering from trauma, but they're afraid of talking about it because it's not tough. So if you're out there, you have a family member who was in Vietnam, maybe they was in Iraq or Afghanistan, wherever they were, Desert Storm. I just want you guys to understand that trauma isn't who you are, it's just what you've been through, and you can get through it and you can overcome. So I walk people through that as well. Veterans I've had people on the brink of suicide, and they call me at 2:00 in the morning, like, Alan, I don't know what to do. And I just sit and I listen, because that's all people want. People want to talk. They want you to listen, and they don't want to feel crazy, So I also offer that opportunity, and people can reach out through my website, alanlevisimmons.com. If you want to schedule a consultation, if you want to just talk, I'm there.
So Alan, can you give your information one more time?
Yes, it's alanlevisimmons.com. And if you do Alan Levi Simmons on Instagram or Facebook or Google, you will be able to find me. That's ALLEN Levi, LEVI Simmons.com.
We know, especially with this COVID pandemic, so many people are battling with hopelessness, despair, PTSD. A lot of people have lost their jobs, and they're suicidal or just feeling hopeless. So if you're one of those people who need some help, please reach out to the hotline. That's 1-800-662-4357. That's 1-800-662-4357, or you can dial 1-800-662-HELP. There is help out there. And you can also reach out to Alan. Alan, it has been great having you on our show. Alan's got a little treat from us. Alan, would you share your book for us again?
Yes, I will. CanISpeakBook.com.
So CanISpeak.com, or Alan's book, has been one way that he used that to overcome his PTSD, to help you battle with depression, So Alan's got a special treat. Alan's gonna share with us a stanza, a poem from his book. Alan, you want to share?
Yes. This poem is called Failure. Don't let failure imprison your mind, bring scoliosis to your spine and leave you bent. You were born to be great, set aside to be great. Your every breath is more precious than diamonds and pearls. Step out from this world and take a leap into your destiny. Look into the mirror and see what others cannot. You are royalty. Your loyalty should be shown by how much you have grown. Seeds of failure and success have both been sown, but please don't step down from your throne. Keep marching, keep moving. You are almost home. Did anyone hear your dreams and said that they had no meaning? Did anyone hear your story and told you to stop dreaming? If so, let them go. Let them watch God take you from the valley into your promised land. Take my hand as I remove you from this quicksand. Fly with me. Gather your feathers, lift up your head, and aim to the stars with me. Stretch and reach the heights with me. Unbreakable people will be tested by pressures that measure their durability. Do you believe in your ability? Do you believe in God's ability? You are unbreakable. Thank you.
Alan, that's beautiful. I'm Sherita Williams of What's Your Testimony? And I would like to leave with you, never stop, never quit. That's Alan's motto. And if you would like to be a guest on our show, reach out to me, Sherita Williams, 154@gmail.com, or you can go to our website, WYTV7.org. If you would like to give a donation, you can also go to WYTV7 Christian Broadcasters Network. Thank you. I'm Sherita Williams. Let your story become our story until we meet again.